Hello, and welcome back to Age Like Wine. This is the season finale, the one you've been waiting for, not only for Avatar, but for season 1 of Age Like Wine. And I'm very excited. I'd like to raise a glass for all the good memories we've had, all the good memories we're going to make. It's just phenomenal we've made it this far. This is the show where we talk about old movies, old video games, old TV shows, and whether or not they've aged well. I'm your host, Matthew.
Peter.
And Will, Young.
It's your boys. We're back. And we have a special guest this week. Robbie, would you like to introduce yourself and why you're on the podcast?
Hi, my name's Robbie. I'm here because I've been a fan of Avatar for 12 years now, and could not be more excited to be talking about Book 3.
Thank you so much for that segue, Robbie, because we're going to be talking about what we've all been waiting for, Book 3 of Avatar the Last Airbender, the Book of Fire. And to get us started a little bit, this is kind of the beginning of the end for this show. There's a lot that goes down heading into this. A lot that I noticed as a first-time viewer. I kind of keep saying that every episode, but I feel like it's important to know that. I want to talk about what the thoughts are going into this season, because I was thinking since y'all, I know that you, William and Peter, you both watched this show live.
Yes.
What was the hype like at the time? Robbie, I don't know about you. Did you watch this show live?
I did.
Oh,
I did. I was there
like
for
to hear
the
that.
finales. It was a great ride.
So what was the vibe at the time when
I
the
don't
show
remember
came out? You
personally.
don't know? Yeah.
To be
Nope.
honest,
No
I didn't
recollection.
know. Yeah, I didn't know anyone else watching this show. I'm gonna be honest. So I'm
Yeah.
honest. I'm really surprised people are so genuinely excited and love the show so much when I don't remember anyone in school talking about it. So
Not a lot of
Interesting.
people were talking about it at school for me, but me and my brothers were all there, ready to go for the second Sozin's Comet started. We were all strapped in, ready to go for every part that got released.
I remember all the commercials for it's 4 days till Sozin's Comet arrives, and it's like, what is this weeb nonsense? What is this?
Yeah, you're the type of guys at my school that I
I
didn't get to talk the show about.
I don't know what to tell you. At
You
the
think
time,
you're
They were too cool for a cartoon at age 11?
it's not just that. It's not that I was too cool, though I was. It was the fact that it's for me, it wasn't really that show you could hop in. I'm like, what's going on? I don't know where I am in the story. It's not dumb enough to be watched at any time like SpongeBob or something. I could watch any episode of SpongeBob. I hop in Avatar and I'm like, who's this blind chick and why is she being so mean to the bald boy with
Sorry, but for people like you, right? They have to put episodes like
People
Ember
like me?
Island. They had to put the episode of Ember Island play to do such a good recap of the whole show because
that episode honestly would not work if I hadn't seen the show. I'm not gonna lie to you. I love that episode, and we're
Maybe.
gonna talk about it more.
Yeah.
But it just would not work for somebody who hasn't seen the show. There's so many inside jokes, but for somebody who's seen the show, that episode is really good. I gotta say. But as far as my hype going into the season 3, dude, I binged all of season 3 in 3 nights. I was all over it. It was really hype.
We got it too.
Yeah,
Not all of us, not all of us stay up till 5 in the morning. So, but no,
Actually, I need to ask the question, Peter. Do you remember watching the Avatar finale together, or
we didn't watch it together.
we didn't watch it together, right?
I remember you watched it with your brother and our cousin. And
I did.
yeah, I remember because distinctly, you called me about it, and then I think one of our cousin mentioned there was a part about Azula in the finale where she she's going through her psychological breakdown, and then our cousin was like, "Dude, she's such a bitch." I just remember Willie calling me about that and saying "Dude, guess what he said about Azula?" I was like, "Oh, what the heck?" So
Is he
I
wrong?
remember when season 3 first came out. I don't know if it aired first in the U.S., but I remember seeing like the first couple episodes, like, or at least it was the episode of like Zuko trying to join the team Avatar. I remember seeing that like in like some like streaming website before it actually like was aired in the U.S. and I think Canada had an earlier release schedule. I think I'm not sure, but yeah,
I don't know if
that's
that's
my
true.
only recollection of season 3, like distinctly, at least as a kid. And I was
Really?
like,
That's pretty cool.
8,
I
9.
like wish I was a part of that. Like,
Yeah,
I feel
we
like I really
recorded
missed
every
it.
episode. Every episode
Really?
going in. Yeah.
Oh my
We had
Really?
god.
it. Yeah, so we would get back from school. It would be on the DVR, ready to go. Go to recently recorded. Slap those episodes on there.
Jump off the roof with a kite on your back. I'm the Avatar, Mom.
And then
Never went
die.
that far, but yeah, it was an exciting time to be alive for me, for sure.
Glad you
Yeah.
guys got to share it with people. You know, as an only child, I had to watch by myself on my CRT TV back in the day.
we,
I mean, we
we need a therapist for you,
watched
Peter.
it together. So, I mean, it's not like you had nobody to talk to about it.
That's true. I mean, like
I mean,
what I said earlier is really interesting, though, don't you think? Like, as a child, I actually don't remember ever talking about the show with anyone. But then it's like such a beloved show now, especially if people like our age, that it's just like weird to see how
Yeah,
popular it is when no one talked about it when I was a kid. I don't
you
know
I
are a
think
why.
most
decade
of the
later
people that
finally.
like talk about it though are like people who, like rewatch it like now because like I remember as a kid like I didn't think twice about the cartoon. I was like fucking like 7 or 8. Like I didn't know half the things like half the mature things they were talking about. Like everything was about like war, like the aftermath of war and its effect on people.
I'm talking about
So
like during their show, like
I
real
know I'm
time.
saying like we were young. Like I guess for me like that's why it wasn't like Power Rangers where they had like this stupid action. It's like every
Yeah.
2 seconds, you know, like it didn't make that. It was like SpongeBob to me when I was a kid. I don't know.
I think that's true. I mean, I guess at our age, or at like Xbox 360 was like the thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I remember talking to kids or people, my like peers about it, and like they're like, "Why would you watch that show?" I was like, "Okay, might be. Sorry about that."
How dare you?
I guess I like Pokemon too, so I guess I was the loser of my grade, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just your grade, dude. But I'm sorry, Peter. I love you.
Okay.
But one thing I want to bring up for our listeners, maybe not all of them have watched Avatar, a big thing that happens this season. We've been going over spoilers. Let me again give you a warning. But the
If you've
big
seen
thing
the
that
episode,
happens,
don't watch our podcast
yeah,
if you
if you
haven't
haven't
seen
seen
the
the episode,
material.
please go
You
watch it.
you can watch our podcast. It's okay. It's about the journey, you know. It's
It
not
is about
about.
I
the
mean,
It's not
journey.
always about the spoilers. So
And it's still worth watching even with spoilers, in my opinion.
so we do kind of ruin some big points because those are the
We
points to talk
definitely
about.
do.
I mean,
A
for the
point
stuff that's like bad that we review, I mean, watch our episode anyway. But I mean, if there's something you're holding out on, we recommend that you watch it before you see
and then
this.
come back and join us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so come back, please,
Please, please, we need
please.
you. But what I wanted to talk about was the big change this season, being Zuko joining the gang, the gang. Um, I know. Please, shucks.
okay.
How long did it take you to work up that one?
Oh man, too long, too long. But seriously, that was a huge point, and I mean, as a first-time viewer, I definitely saw it coming. I'm sure. I'm not sure, like if kids did. I don't know if y'all did at the time.
I did not.
You
I
did
did not
not.
either.
No? Okay.
It's a
Then
surprise.
I respect that. I
I
respect
I
that.
think they hint at it a little bit, especially throughout like book 2 with his whole inner dilemma of like
Yeah.
which side does he choose, like his family or like his honor, or like where he goes with that. But I think as a kid, you're still sort of caught off guard by it when he actually says like, "I need to go find the Avatar," and you're like, "Okay, yeah, he's gonna go find him again." And then this time he's finding him to join him instead of like capture him or whatever. So it's a little predictable, but you know it still checks out.
I think as far as like Nickelodeon cartoons go, like that it's pretty revolutionary because a lot of cartoons tend to keep the characters like as they are, these archetypes, like he's the bad
Static.
guy. Yeah, static, exactly. Like he's the
Shock.
bad guy and you'll Static Shock. That's exactly the cartoon I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's so static. But like it definitely feels like there are episodes where like Plankton's the good guy, going back to SpongeBob a little bit. He'll do something nice but then it returns or whatever, but like Zuko has a permanent growth and that like sort of ends up where he is in season 3, and that's like why he's such a good character, because he actually grows as a person. The only person who doesn't like grow, I would say, is like Iroh, and that's because he's like done his growing. He's like
Yeah.
learned a lot, and he's just trying to impart that onto other people, which I think is cool. But yeah, do y'all have any thoughts on like Zuko being in the gang? Because I
Best
really
character of the season.
best character of this season.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
coming out early with that.
Hey.
I like it.
If you got me on the topic of Zuko, he's the best character of the season. Whole show.
I think he's one of the best. He's not my favorite character this season.
Yeah, I already know who your favorite character
Okay,
is.
wait, who do you think is my favorite character?
Avatar Roku, right?
Are you about to say freaking Sozin or something?
Yeah.
It's not so. It's not
Is
Sozin.
it
Ozai?
Sozin because he's got the body you want?
Sozin.
So
Is it Buff
That-
Iroh after he jailbreaks?
Buff Iroh is crazy.
Big
my
Daddy
favorite character was definitely Katara this season.
vibes.
So,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I know that's
That's
just me.
I'm kind of between favorite characters. I think Zuko definitely has a lot that he brings to the season, with all the field trips that the group goes on, their little mini excursions. I think those are all some pretty entertaining episodes overall. Like the Boiling Rock, that 2-parter is pretty good. But I don't know if I'd put him as my favorite. I'm pretty tossed up. I kind of like Sokka, how he finally gets like
Yeah.
his feel good moment of finding his master and his space sword.
He grows a
Until he
lot, yeah.
loses.
Yeah, Sokka is great. Sokka
He
is
could always make
great
another
in
one.
this season.
It's a giant meteor.
Is there more moon rocks? I don't know.
I mean, he'd
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
go
dude.
back to and because they brought the whole rock.
They brought, I think, like a small fragment of it, but you saw how like small that sword is, and like the giant rock they brought.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they still got leftover material. Like I remember as a kid, I thought, oh shit, he lost his moon sword. Like that's his like new defining characteristic. But I mean, rewatching it, I was like, okay, well, he could probably just make a new one.
Probably, yeah.
Makes sense to me. I think Sokka might have been my favorite. I really liked him in the Boiling Rock, which was actually my favorite series of episodes, was the Boiling Rock, because I thought it showed Sokka really well, and like just the way he had grown, and he's like, you know what, I can do this stuff alone, even though he brings like Zuko. He doesn't want to bring Zuko, he has to kind of. But Sokka like grew so much from season 1 and 2, where I thought he was kind of annoying, and just the comic relief. And in season 3, he really kicks it into gear, and he's like, I'm gonna be like the most badass character in the season. Like regarding how much power he has, like you have to respect how much work he does for the whole show, like showing leadership with like the invasion and stuff. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, what he doesn't bring in terms of like raw power with his whole lack of bending, he definitely makes up for it in as cliche as it sounds, in heart and like overall charisma. I think he brings like the necessary like direction and glue to the group.
William's shaking his head. I don't know why.
Yeah, what's up, William?
It is hard.
What's hard?
What?
You said something's hard. What?
I don't know.
What?
I was saying it's hard, but I was trying to. I didn't know what I was gonna say, so I was like
Oh,
thinking it as I
it's
said
hard
it.
to emote.
I mean, I agree though. It's like, I was gonna more say like his like brain. He's like definitely like the tactician of the group, especially with like the whole like spaceship or not spaceship. The what are they?
Summary.
The
The
floater.
blimps.
The blimps.
Yeah, the
Oh, the
blimps.
blimp.
The fact that like he thought of like crashing that into all the other blimps was just like, it shows like how tactful he is, and like he's single handedly like stopped that entire part of the invasion. I mean, it was kind of small, like looking at it retrospectively.
Yeah, but the fire they blasted
But
out.
also,
Yeah,
yeah,
the fire they blast is a lot, but then like there's like a shit ton of like firebenders.
True.
yeah. If they only had, because you really only saw Ozai like start
Yeah,
just like burning everything down. Imagine if they had like each of those like blimps could have had 10, 20 firebenders just positioned out.
it's true. Yeah, I mean they only had like
all of
one.
them at tenfold power.
It's
Yeah, man.
over.
They had like one
Game
per
over.
like platform and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, they probably had like a bunch in there because I remember when they dropped all the crew of like that first blimp, there was like a shit ton of people.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
Also,
was one of the best moments. I'd say.
I like how they start this like invasion with the Sozin Comet. Like as it's going, they're like, "Finally, we'll burn down this forest." It's like that's what you want to start. You don't want to go like attack the Earth Kingdom or something. Like you've been trying to do. It's like now we just want to burn down all the land.
They have to destroy their hope or whatever.
They're too far
Yep.
from the Earth Kingdom to really
Right,
stick.
but why'd they start it so late? They knew when the Sozin Comet was coming.
I
So
mean, they
could have
had all
like
day.
gotten in the air.
It's
They
true.
had all day. They were just gonna burn because his whole plan, like as the Phoenix King, was to burn down everything that wasn't the Fire Nation. Just turn it to ash, and then have the Fire Nation slowly rebuild over all of the now desecrated land.
That makes sense.
So he was just gonna burn it all to
He's
the
just like,
ground.
I just want to burn it all.
Burning off.
I'm gonna burn it all.
So what was everyone's actually? That's a good point I want to bring up. So Ozai is a character that isn't really introduced until season 3, or you really don't see Ozai do anything. But he's
Mhm.
like,
You don't see his face till
He's
season
in the
3.
back.
yeah,
He's
so
like
he's like
Thanos.
he's the whole big bad of the whole show, right? He's
Yeah.
like literally
Yeah.
like the villain. He's the person in Aang's like life he has to defeat, right? So, what are your guys' thoughts? Do you think he lived up to the hype? Do you guys think that he was kind of lame? Like, do you think there's another villain who's better, like maybe Azula? Like,
I'll start. I'm gonna say that I thought other villains were better, but as far as like big bad guy energy goes, like you're gonna have trouble doing more than you're gonna have trouble doing better than Ozai in that regard. Like he doesn't give a care, He just goes out and he's like, I'm just gonna burn everything because like I'm the best, basically. And then he just gives he gives Azula. He's like, yeah, you can be king because I'm the Phoenix Lord. It's like, okay, relax, dude, simmer down. Like that was such like a slap in the face. That's like, yeah, you can be president because I will be the overlord of everything. I thought that was really funny and very, very much like a supervillain thing to say. It was strange that he had like not strange, but like it was weird. Of like all the characters, he was like definitely the most just straight evil. And then Azula would take second place for that, probably. And I guess that makes sense because like but Azula's grandfather, like, what's his name?
Zulon.
Azulon.
Zulon. Like he had some character to him. He was like, I just want to spread the love a little bit, Like Fire Nation's doing so well. And then his son's like, I will burn everything for the Fire Nation. It's strange to see it go from like morally kind of gray, little dark, and then go to like dark,
Well, I feel like, at least on the topic of Azulon, during his time was when they enacted like the first attack on Ba Sing Se, right? So I think
Right.
like I think Azulon and Ozai are like comparable in that like their character like traits make sense because they were raised by like Sozin, right? Essentially, like his whole environment that he created, which is like you see that into Azula. But I think that Ozai and I guess Azulon were like for the most part really similar, besides the fact and like how they handled their kids, because you definitely see that difference with Azulon and that he cared about Iroh and like
Yeah.
didn't want to like relinquish his like right to the throne because he saw, oh hey, his son died, like my son's son died. So I mean, like the fact that my other son would even bring up like, oh, that he should be king is just kind of like that pissed him off. Like that gave him like something more than just being like the big bad, because obviously Ozai is set up to be the big bad. But I don't know. I feel like we see that difference. Then like Azulon actually cares about Iroh, whereas Ozai, for his son, like the first moment he like disobeys him or like does something wrong, he straight up like burns his face. So
Yep.
I thought that was like an important difference between the two. But I don't know. I mean, they were definitely like the big. I thought they were serviceable, at least like Ozai. Like, he doesn't have to have like too much like character development because like he's the Fire Lord. Like he's continuing like his grandpa's mission. He's gonna be the big bad dude. I mean, he seems more like an obstacle than anything else. But I felt like Mark Hamill voicing him, he was fitting for the role.
Yeah. Going back to Azulon a little bit, there is, although it's not mentioned as much, it's more hinted at when Ozai does disrespect him and like asks for the position. Azulon threatens, or doesn't threaten, but asks for Zuko's life in recompense, like for the disrespect.
Oh, that's right.
That is explicit. Yeah, like
So
at least in
That's
the
why.
comic.
That's why the mom. That's why the
Yeah.
mom's gone.
So the
Yeah.
mom leaves because she offers Ozai a poison to kill Azulon.
Mm-hmm.
So he can take Ozai takes the place of Fire Lord, and then Ozai banishes her. So like that risk of being poisoned isn't constantly around him. And that's the whole that like plays so much into Zuko's character without him figuring it out until after the show, and I think a manga that they released.
It's just a comic.
Or is it a comic?
Yeah, it's just a
I
comic.
Yeah,
The
the
Search.
search, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
the search.
And that was released like a year or two after everything, where people were just like, "What happened to his mom?" Like, you
Because
never
people
find
were
out.
hoping for a season 4,
Yeah,
and supposedly the head writer kind of hinted that there was supposed to be a season 4, which caused all this shit. Like very recently, I think it was like 6 months ago. But then like the creators had to come out on like Instagram saying like, "Oh yeah, there was never a season 4." Don't know what he's talking about. He doesn't even work on our project anymore. But,
I was hoping for a season 4. I just wanted to
Me
see
too.
like the world post Fire Nation, I guess, if that makes sense. Like after the war was over, like everything rebuilding. Aang is
I
like
agree.
the fully formed avatar, like a decent person as Fire Lord.
Like there's technically Legend of Korra, but that's like so far into the
Yeah,
future.
it's so
that's
far
not what
removed
we
from the
want.
immediate effect that it's not exactly the sequel I guess we were all hoping for after it.
Yeah.
It does
I
a
don't
good
think
job.
comics suffice either. I would prefer it in like a new animation, but hey, the story ended on a good note, so
I would agree. There's, I was definitely left wanting more after season 3. I was like, wait, that's it? No, don't do this. But they did give us some like really hype scenes and like things you can kind of think back on. Like for me, like the thing that I really enjoy are some of the like really cool uses of the bending that we talked about that in season 2 where they really step up on that, and they do a really good job in season 3 of like continuing that where it continues to be really cool. Like one of the coolest battle scenes is when they go and they invade the Fire Nation during the eclipse.
Hell
I
yeah.
thought that was like one of the most hype scenes ever. Like I really enjoyed that. The only thing I didn't like is the CGI of the submarines. Oh my
yeah.
god.
Yeah,
That
This
is
is
so
CGI
bad.
has
They didn't look
not
that bad.
aged well.
If
Nah,
we're
it's
talking,
pretty bad.
if we're talking
Nah,
about
They
it's
didn't look
Rachel
that
pretty
bad. I
bad.
don't think.
No,
I
the
didn't think it was.
CGI is like the most glaring thing that you see. Man, that is not aged well.
yeah, it's like, oh,
It's definitely the worst
uh,
part. I don't think it was that bad
Yeah.
though. To be honest.
no,
It's
I mean, it doesn't
pretty
make it unwatchable. Like it's not some sort of like uncanny valley or something. They never use it on like a person or an animal or something, which thank God. Because that
Was the
would be
lion turtle CGI
horrifying.
actually?
The lion turtle? I don't think so. I think it was
I don't
like
think so. It was a very
it was
stagnant
drawn and they just like
animation.
moved
Yeah.
it up and down. By the way, I love the lion turtles so much.
Hell yeah.
I love I love the animals in this show. I think I've said it in another episode. I love the animals because the idea of putting two animals together is just like such a Pokemon thing, and then they throw it in like let's just make it kind of realistic too, like the platypus bear and stuff. Like it's like real life Pokemon. I dig it a lot. I dig it a lot. But yeah, I like that. I like the battle scene. I think it's super cool. This final season definitely like moves the stakes up. Not that they haven't been pushing forward like the whole time to exactly what the third season is, but like it delivers on that promise of like Aang's gonna have to fight somebody because that's what the prophecy says and stuff. But yeah, what parts did y'all enjoy that sort of like gave you a sense of accomplishment from watching the show, like the third season we made
Accomplishment.
it.
Like, are you
You
saying
know
like
what I
favorite
mean?
action scene or favorite
Kind
scene?
like
Favorite
Scene?
moment?
like
Favorite moment?
the build up, like
Build up.
for me that scene where Sokka's like leading all the troops and stuff. I'm like, that's where his character's been headed the whole time.
So you're talking
Hell
like the
yeah,
most hype scene.
yeah. Where it's
So,
like, yeah, we're talking Iron Man snap. Like Iron Man's been building up to that. Let's go.
all right, I didn't know we were spoiling
Wow, that was a
Endgame as
huge
well.
spoiler for something else. Okay.
Do you want to bleep that out? You can.
Waiting for something else. It's kind of obvious what to spoil it for. What franchise?
What do you mean? If you
Oh
haven't
yeah,
seen
Iron
that
Giant.
movie, I don't know what to tell you, dude.
I've never
Let's
seen
see.
Titanic. That's like the third highest grossing movie, right?
Titanic's boring, dude. I don't know what to
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
you.
You're just a hater.
Also, everyone knows what happens. So.
Some
Yeah,
people think Endgame's boring. Who
you
knows?
want me to spoil Titanic?
Hey, don't spoil it. I have to watch that movie.
All right, the boat has some issues.
Some people didn't enjoy Avengers Endgame, and they made very long video essays on it on YouTube.
I mean, that's fine too.
Well, I only know one person who's done that.
Yeah, me too.
Back on
Favorite
topic,
moment?
though, yeah.
I guess I'll go first. I think my favorite moment. Okay, so I'll just spoil this. My favorite episode of the season was actually the Southern Raiders. I know Robbie said. I don't know if it was during or before. He said he didn't like the Southern Raiders episode, or he didn't think it was that good. That was actually my
I
favorite
loved it.
episode, and I also
Yeah.
said Katara was my favorite character this season. So I think that's why. I think that episode played a huge role. I think in terms of build up and stuff, I think that's definitely what Matt's talking about for me. At least, yeah, for me for this episode, where like the only waterbender you really see in the series is like Katara, and then you meet these other waterbenders, but consistently you only see Katara waterbend. And then she has a lot of screen time this season too. And then she finally confronts her mother's killer, and then you're just like, all right, what's gonna happen? She's with Zuko, and then you just kind of see her character go through like a kind of a dilemma, right? It's just like I don't know. It was a very emotional moment for me, and I was just like, wow, like this girl's like 14. She's meeting someone who killed her mother. It's just like this is like for her. This was like what the war did to her. Like this is her confronting like her most traumatic moment, basically. And yeah, I think that was my build-up moment of the season, I guess.
I
So
think that one's also kind of good because you sort of see her when she's talking with Hama, the bloodbender. Another spoiler there. Also coming back to them upping the bending. At the
yeah,
end of that episode, you see her like sort of in like this defeated kind of state because she has to use it against Hama. And then to watch her at the end of the Southern Raiders just like totally stop all the rain, and it's just like the icicles pointed at this man. You're like, whoa.
I'm just
Like,
wondering.
she's-
So I think this episode actually did a great job of showing. So I we talked about last season how it portrayed how the Earth Kingdom wasn't so black and white as it is. It's
Mhm.
Earth Kingdom isn't all necessarily good, right? And then you see this that water bending has a lot of destructive properties. Like you can really use it to kill someone. It's like really OP, even with blood bending. So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool to see. We just haven't seen air we just haven't seen air be used for bad yet. But I mean,
I mean,
Hey,
we saw what Monk Gyatso did to all those fucking like firebenders in the temple, though. Like,
Yeah.
that was a
getting murked
self-defense
all
though.
those fools.
It wasn't self-defense.
I mean, we don't know the exact like idea of like what the technique was, but he straight up killed those dudes.
No,
I mean,
it's
we do see an evil airbender, of course, in like Legend of
Okay, that's
Korra.
later
But-
though. That's later though.
Yeah. I will say though, like to go off your point, Peter, what I really liked about that episode was that like in the end she doesn't actually like forgive him. It's just the fact that she couldn't kill someone, like, and that showed like how real it was, and that like in order to like confront like your past trauma, you don't necessarily have to forgive someone, but you just have to not necessarily like get over it, but just kind of like move on and kind of like focus on like your current life, which I thought was like a really like real message from it. And I liked how like even at the end, like Aang was like, "You did a good job forgiving him," and he's like, and then Katara is like, "No, I will never forgive that man because he ruined my life and took like the one person in my life I really really cared about." And I thought that was great because I mean, I know like in cliche like I don't know like anime or something, they'll be like, "Yeah, I'll forgive the bad guy who like killed my entire family, like shot me in the legs, like fucking murdered my grandpa or something." There's like a redemption, but it's like for that guy who kind of like took pleasure in like I guess killing Katara's mom or something. He was like kind of sadistic. He even like offered up his own mom because he didn't like her. He's like, an eye for an eye. I'll give you my mom since I killed your mom. Type of shit. It's like this guy is a piece of shit, and it's like not worth it to like cross that line to like, be like branded as like this killer just so I can get revenge because this guy is pathetic anyway. Like, I thought that was like very
This is like
emotional.
This is like a Peter Parker Spider-Man kind of storyline right now.
Kind of, yeah. It's like, well, I mean, depends which depiction we're talking about. I mean, in the fucking Sam Raimi's, he definitely killed that fucking
he
that dude.
definitely
Pushed him off. Like we
Did it
saw
kill
that
him?
when
Did he die?
he fucking died. He indirectly died, sure, yeah.
He has the broken bones,
I mean, he also thought he killed Sandman by like putting his head against the fucking
Oh,
train.
that was
and,
different.
like,
He had the black suit, so it's like
I
yeah,
mean,
Black Suit was weird in that movie.
black suit was great in
Pretty
that
good.
movie.
very good.
It's great. Getting copyrighted with that. Great scene.
Yeah,
Maybe so.
not wrong.
No.
Anyone else
What
have
are you
any
guys? Yeah,
moments?
favorite moments.
What was your favorite moment, William? You're like asking us, but
My
you didn't
favorite
say anything.
moment.
You didn't say anything.
Lay it on us.
It's when Avatar Roku was a fully realized avatar. Is that your favorite
Oh,
moment?
No.
jeez.
I mean, that's a good scene, but I think my favorite. Well, I don't know if it's my. Okay, yeah, no, for sure. This is my favorite moment when Zuko's outside, or I guess not outside, but inside the tent with like Iroh, and then he's like apologizing like profusely, and this is when obviously like Iroh's awakened now and he's like snoring before, which I thought was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But like him just kind of like apologizing for all the things he does, and then Iroh like immediately hugs him. It's just this very like heartfelt moment where Zuko, he's finally come full circle and like realized that he's really for the side of good, but feels like this tremendous guilt for betraying Iroh, like stabbing him in the back, and the fact that Iroh immediately forgives him because he's that great fucking father figure that Zuko always needed. And he was like saying that he was never mad at him. He was just afraid that Zuko lost his way since he went through that whole journey. And I just thought like that's like my favorite like single moment of the series. But my favorite action scene is for sure the Agni Kai between Zula and Zuko. Like when they like
Oh yeah.
shoot at each other, and then it's like the blue fire comes at one side and the red fire is on the other side. I think like that's my favorite battle. I think that's way better than Aang versus Ozai because I mean it was a good fight, but I mean I think the Agni Kai was just way more cool.
My
Yeah,
take on that is I think the Anikai was like had a lot more meaning to it, but I think Aang
Mhm.
versus Ozai was just fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
That's
the
the way I
whole
see it.
brother sister vibe, like that, their battle that's been going on the entire time of Azula being like this prodigy that he's always trying to catch up with, even though he's older and feels like
True.
he should deserve more. And then it finally like pays off in the culmination of the fight, but not even because of him to like some extent, you know.
Yeah, it's because like she was
Katara's
breaking
there.
down. Oh, I mean,
And
she was like
she's
breaking down
losing her
mentally. Like, she was fucking.
Mind.
Yeah.
She was
I just-
losing it. Yeah.
I like how like for most of the fight it was kind of like even, but then he does like that break dance thing, like a windmill and
Yeah,
shit.
the windmill.
Yeah.
Like that's what makes her like fall off and like eat shit pretty much. I thought that was like, always thought it was funny, but yeah, it was great because you always see like Azula like. It was like a one-sided fight. She was always kicking Zuko's ass, but then like Zuko comes in, he's fully like he's determined, he's motivated. You know, he's actually got people on his side, but she's breaking it down. So like you see it in her technique,
Yeah.
even though she can still
I
conduct.
would have loved for her to fire to turn like red at the end of
I
I
it.
don't
thought
like they
that's
would
what
turn
was
like
going to happen.
orange. I thought it was gonna turn normal because like her blue fire is
Yeah, that's what
supposed
I
to
meant.
be.
Yeah.
It was.
I
I
was
think like an
hoping.
indicator she could burn it hotter than normal fire is what the
Mhm.
wiki says.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
She's
I
a
was
prodigy.
hoping that Zuko would get the chance to like use, the fire that they see the dragons use when they go
Oh
out.
yeah.
I was
Oh,
hoping for like some rainbow fire. You
Oh, I
know,
thought you were talking about Dragon the West stuff.
no.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have a demonstration on camera.
It's more a demonstration, really.
But no, that was something I was waiting for like the second half of the third season to show was the like rainbow fire because it's like
Oh yeah.
fire has many different colors and then they didn't do anything with that. I was
Funny, fire only
waiting
has
for
two
it.
colors actually.
Yeah, it's actually only blue and
Yeah.
red.
It's actually only two,
sorry.
but it's whatever.
I
I
think
was-
the whole dragon perspective is that there's a different way to generate your fire than from like anger and hatred, that if you use like love and life as your like fuel, that you don't need to rely on these sort of like
Does he have like pink fire then?
antagonistic. Yeah.
That-
Power
I
glue
wish,
shit right there.
dude.
That's how
Give
you
me
get pink fire, you know? No, but if you channel like the more positive aspects of it instead of the more like aggressive aspects of firebending, you'll have a more permanent and like steadfast source. So I don't think it was ever meant to be like a different color of bending.
Disappointing.
Yeah.
I will say though, I feel like what was kind of coolest about that last fight, and like even in with the fight with Aang, is that like both of like the good guys like know how to redirect lightning, and like beforehand you see lightning is like the ultimate fucking attack that like insta kills people pretty much, where it's like near impossible to really like avoid. And I mean, I think Zuko's like main highlight with that was like when he like confronts his dad, the eclipse, and then right as the eclipse like ends, Ozai shoots lightning, and then like he like a G, he like we first see him like redirect lightning, and at that moment, okay, this might have been like my second favorite moment. You could have seen like Zuko could have killed his dad, but he
Yeah.
instead like shoots at the ground in front of him and just like
Why didn't he
just
kill his
runs
dad?
away. What?
Well, it's the ultimate power move. He
Yeah,
If he
remember, he
killed
said-
his dad there,
it's not
No,
his fight though.
it would have
said,
solved
like,
everything
yeah.
though.
He said like this
I
is
mean,
not
like
my
destiny,
it's
like the
after
destiny
it's-
bullshit aside, he
Yo,
could have just
dude, that's
killed
the
his dad
whole
there.
show though. Is like it's destiny. Like they say destiny maybe like 300 fucking times throughout the entire show.
Nah, dude, he
that
could
and
have just
honor.
he could have just killed his dad there. Honestly,
Well, I mean, even if Ozai's dead, Azula's still a problem, and if she just ascends as Fire Lord, it's going to be the same situation.
yeah,
Instead
but
of
then, I
two
don't think it would have.
powerful
I
firebenders.
don't think it would have had like the same influence though. It's just like
That's right. I mean, but like Zuko's not gonna kill his dad. He's not
Yeah,
the kind. He
Zuko-
doesn't kill.
Zuko is like, even though at the time he's like really mad and hates his dad a lot, like he's still morally great. Like he's still feeling feelings, dude.
He's inherited that Roku side rather than that Sozin side.
yeah,
He's
I know
a
that.
great
No,
avatar,
I know that. It's just like theoretically, right?
Roku.
Yeah.
Like morals aside, he could just killed his dad there, and then the
He
war
could
could
have,
have
yeah.
probably
No.
like ended.
Oh, show because like his dad did not expect that. The fact
That
that
was like, what the wait?
Yeah, because there wasn't a second attack from Ozai after that. Ozai was just sort of left stunned as Zuko like turned and walked away.
And then
Ozai
the
is
rest of
literally
the
like
season-
shot at like in the front of the ground. He's like, oh, and he's like he gets staggered back, and he like.
I don't think that was his reaction, but
No, he was like,
Whoa!
he got murked in that scene.
He did lose.
It's true.
Did also like with lightning, like Azula split second gets a shot off on Iroh, like incapacitates him for a little bit. Like Zuko could have done that exact thing, but I mean, he's like that's the Avatar's destiny, not mine.
True.
Even though they're kind of the same. I don't know. They're very similar characters at the end. Kind of peacekeepers bringing everything together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's all I have to say. Robbie, what are your favorite moments, man? Tell me.
I really like the Order of the White Lotus. It's like hinted at once in book 2. When they escape, and then it's brought back again at the beginning of book 3 when they're leaving Master Piandao's house, and his servant like walks out and like hands them a little pouch, and they open it up and it's the Pai Shao title of like the White Lotus, and they're like, I wonder what this means. Whatever could it be? And like if you sort of start putting things together, you can get that it's like a secret society kind of vibe, because they have like the back room just for members in book 2.
Yeah.
But like fully connecting that is kind of rough.
Matt, do you remember from season 1? Didn't they have like a pie show thing for Zhongzheng?
So what they had was yes, first of all. They
Right.
also had where Iroh lost that piece specifically,
Mhm.
and he had to go buy another one. And
Yeah.
like they lost the Avatar because of it, and Zuko was super mad because it's in book 1, like that's all Zuko wanted. So,
Yeah.
but
True.
yeah.
But just
It-
them like all coming together, like I mean, it happens in the finale. I think it's like the second episode of it, where like they find the tent and like the setup outside Bossing Say of the whole like Order of the White Lotus, and Boomy's like, all old people know each other, don't you know that? And
Yeah. I think
it's like the ultimate secret society of all of the like great masters that they've been meeting with throughout like
Yeah,
the
it's literally, like,
entire series.
pretty great. I feel like Monkey also or Guru, like Pathik, if he was like an airbender, they would definitely be in the
Oh yeah,
the White Lotus.
feel like
they
the
were
Boulder should've-
probably airbenders in it, but I mean,
Yeah. I mean, but
you know,
they're all dead.
yeah, they're all dead
Yeah.
except for Aang.
Thanks for the reminder.
I feel like I don't know. Like I know they said like all the airbenders are dead, but I feel like one of the things I know they attacked. Didn't they attack like the Eastern Air Temple first? Because that's where they thought Aang was going to be.
they
I
attacked
thought they
multiple.
attacked both of them at the same time.
Because
the
I was
Eastern
watching a
and the-
video on this. Apparently in the fucking like Avatar like trading card game or something, they have like an airbender that's like someone the traitor that like told that like he was like their insider or something. That like
Is that like canon?
it's not like canon, but it's like it adds a little bit like something in between the lines where it's like why would they attack the Eastern Air Temple first? Because we go to like different air temples.
Yeah,
Like you don't see
Right.
like the Western Air Temple. That's just not like filled with Fire Nation soldiers. So maybe I don't know. Always felt like maybe they're at least like looking past the series. Maybe there could have been like a couple of airbenders that maybe survived. Instead
but
of
they
all them
probably
being
died
dead.
off over the 100 years.
I mean,
Yeah,
they
it's
might
hard
have
to
died off,
hide.
but it's like Jedi's, like there's still a couple like in secrecy. And just because their people were targeted doesn't mean like it's impossible for there to be just like a couple left. But
I don't disagree with you. I think it's probably easiest to hide airbending of all the elements if you're gonna like still use like
because not everyone has the tattoos, like that's only if you're an airbending master. It's like, and even then you could just like cover it up or some shit. I don't know.
like, it's not like Iroh in book 2 where he like heats up the tea or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
Actually, I don't know. I think it'd be pretty hard to
he's
hide
a-
airbending, though. It's like
I
the
mean-
Force. You want to get an item, so you just airbend it like to you.
You go, oh, that was lucky. Whoa. I mean, like you can just not use it too.
Or to dry
Yeah.
yourself off after a shower. Like I mean,
Like,
there are uses. There are uses to it. You know.
if we think about it, though, it's like people like Iroh and Zuko. Iroh did it. Like, I mean, like they were for the most part like well hidden, and they only like really used it in. Well, Zuko used it in like a desperate situation where he was getting like the shit beaten up out of him, like out of like some like Earth soldier.
Yeah, first soldier.
But then like
Earthbender.
Iroh did it in a stupid way where he's just like, man, this tea is cold. I want to heat it up.
Yeah.
I mean, Zuko also does it on his date.
Look away.
I mean, yeah, that's true,
Yeah.
but it's like the thing is like they can hide it pretty well. Same thing with I think.
I feel like you can hide every bending equally
Yeah,
as well.
That's what
When
I'm trying to
compared
get. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
everything is the easiest one. I just said
I think
like-
they're all like decently easy. Like as
Yeah.
long as like you restraint, and I'm pretty sure the monks could do that since like that's their whole like
Mhm.
philosophy
true,
is like
yeah.
restraint and stuff. So I think they could do a good job of hiding it. I mean, I know we'll talk about Corvette at some other time, but
Yeah, I
I'm gonna
think
go take a
like
break.
my ultimate moment overall is watching all of the old masters like ready to fight back on the like captured Bossing Say, and Iroh breaching the wall using Sozin's comment isn't like a move of conquest, but more of a move of redemption, which just like builds back on his story. Because the last time he was there attacking Bossing Say, it was as the Dragon of the West, like on his first siege, and now he makes it back a second time, but this time he's fighting against the Fire Nation and like cruel, unjust civilization instead of like the last stronghold that it was
right.
before it fell.
Yeah,
So I
it's a
think just
comment.
that whole like white Order of the White Lotus like scene, just watching like all these masters just going at it. I think that's my favorite part.
Yeah, so to make like a Pokemon reference, Sozin's comment's like Sunny Day, so like
Oh jeez.
power of fire type move. So like Iroh's blasting blast burn on the wall there, you know, skadoosh.
Not wrong. And
You know, I'm just saying. He like one shot that wall, so I mean I'm just saying.
it's got like 100% accuracy or something.
Yeah.
Not fair, dude.
And he was running that blaze too, you know, like the
Yeah, he's got the
he was in like red HP there, just
he's
going
got
in.
he's got guts, dude. He's on fire. He's got guts. Unbelievable. Oh jeez. These references
anyone-
are too deep.
Is there a Pokemon move called Firewall? Because that was literally all Jong did was that he just put up like fire walls to like.
There's Fire Pledge that kind of looks
I was
like
gonna
it.
say fire
Like
play.
fire
Yeah,
pillar.
Fire Pledge kind of
Yeah.
looks like it. Like
Fire
putting
Like
a
he was literally doing
wall.
that just to block the other firebenders from like attacking, and I was like,
Yeah, but then
Jong
also he
gonna
sent the
fight?
wall down and just not like destroyed everything, and you're just like, whoa,
That's true.
goddamn.
He's like Phoenix and Valorant. I know Peter knows it. Like throw out a fire.
You know, snap.
But yeah. I gotta agree with you, Rob. I like the order a lot too. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw that coming together. First watch, I'm like, what? What's going on? Okay.
Dude, the build up to that though, where like Iroh was just like breathing, inhaling and exhaling, that shit was badass. You're just
The,
like
the
you know
ring
shit's
of fire just like
yeah.
matching his breath pattern, and then it
He's like-
finally like all comes together to the giant meteor strike. Oh,
Yeah.
What if he did like a breath instead of like a fireball? Because Dragon in the West,
I think that would definitely be slower. You know,
because
like
he was
the fireball,
breathing,
like-
he was breathing, you know,
That would have been
No,
sick.
he was like warming up, you know, like
getting his
just
lungs
like-
ready.
that's the technique that he's always drilling Zuko on throughout all of it. Is that firebranding comes from the breath? It comes from the support.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah, the
We also
breathing.
saw the what is it, the side by side, where we see his like brother immediately do the same thing, and he just like shooting that entire like
Yeah.
beam, just like burning down the forest and shit.
Yeah, just the cone
Sure.
of fire.
Yeah, also the animation and voice acting for this season went up again.
Oh, it was
Absolutely.
so good, except for the CGI yet again. It looks really,
Yeah,
really
you guys are
good.
haters on the
I
submarines.
have
come
to
on.
say the CG. It's easily the worst part of the show.
Yep.
And that's
The-
like honestly a compliment because there's very little CGI. So
True.
it's like barely an issue, but it's really bad. It's
Like some
really bad.
Spider-Man 1990s like CGI where he's like
Yeah, no
swinging
kidding.
through the city and shit.
Nah,
and stuff.
dude, Spider-Man '90s isn't that bad either.
That's pretty bad. You can tell in the opening. Just on the opening, you can tell.
I'm pretty sure we said it was pretty bad in our episode about
I
that.
said it was fine. I said it was fine.
It's like some like
You're very generous.
PS1 graphics. Type
And
of
at
shit.
the time, I'm sure it was okay, but like we're age like wine. I got to be honest. That aspect is not age like wine, in my opinion. But no, the animation, honestly, all the technical aspects, like the animation, the voice acting, the music was really, really good. There was a lot
Absolutely.
more use of like motifs and stuff, as far as like, you know, like Ozai's got his doom doom doom. It's like okay, let's go, let's back him up. It's Ozai. I thought that was really cool because they didn't do a lot of that in season 1 and 2. I don't know if they didn't have the budget or something, but there was a lot of light motifs in such indeed. But I thought that was a super good addition for the show. What did y'all think of the music, if anything?
It's good. I think Avatar music is very iconic, in my opinion. I can't really think of any tracks other than like the opening sequence or like Avatar State music, to be honest, off the top of my head. But I will say like everything was good in terms of music. Like music definitely was not a problem in the show.
I have one niche complaint about Avatar music. Tell me if this makes any sense.
Mhm.
So at the end of every episode, this is also for listeners who maybe haven't seen it. End of every episode, it goes to a short screen where it shows like the creator, the lead director, all that. And like every episode kind of ends on a cliffhanger or like something they're doing, and then it goes boom. Like it just like kind of goes out. And then right afterwards, like there's this "Hoo-cha!"
I was gonna say I actually love that.
I hate that.
You
so
hate
much.
that?
I hate that because
I love
it
that.
like it like takes me out of it. Like I'm like, oh my god. Like Aang just got shot with lightning. Like what's he gonna do? Oh my god. And it leaves you dum dum.
They don't have that every time though. I don't think.
Every time on
I think
Netflix.
there are some episodes where they actually just have like very calming dun, 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 like the water
I
tri music.
maybe, but I don't remember it. I remember specifically on the end of season 2, after Aang, it's like Aang's dead. Like, oh no. And then it just
Dude, we're getting copyrighted with how good that is,
I
honestly.
know. I'm absolutely
I
agreeing.
just like skipped to the next episode every time because that was on Netflix. So I got used to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say Netflix makes it so just it says proceed to the next episode once the episode's finished.
I know, but I just it was so frustrating.
I don't have any negative taste on music. I loved it. I mean, my
That's
favorite
fair.
thing was obviously like Iroh's theme, like whenever it's like
Oh.
Zuko and him in a room. That's slow. I don't even know what the instrument is, but just that theme. You heard it, and you know it. So good.
Yeah, the music's good. I'd say.
I think it really backs up a lot of like the fight scenes. Like it really amps you up into it, and you're like, yeah, kill each other, and you know they're not going to. But it like gets you into that sort of mindset where you're like, okay, and then like it just keeps ramping up. Or like in the more like tranquil scenes, it like slows down, and you're like,
Yeah.
damn, that's really hitting harder right now. I think it does a good job like supporting what's happening on screen.
That's a good way to put it, honestly. I wish they would this is like such an empty wish, but like they would go back to season 1 and 2 and like sort of redub the music aspects of Avatar because I thought that was done especially well in season 3 and like
Yeah.
I'd love to see that because like motifs work with like time, like you see Darth Vader and then you see him again and it's always the same music and they don't necessarily carry through season 1 and season 2. And I know this is kind of lame arguments, but I think that would enhance it. Maybe somebody has done that edit. I don't know, but
I don't know. One of our friends, Henry, who came on the show, he actually sends me all these links to like lo-fi hip hop beats that people make, like remixes of like Avatar music. So
interesting. Henry would do that. Henry's all about the music.
that being said, what you said, man, kind of wants me to bring up another subject. So
Sure.
Anybody have any hot takes for the season or for like the whole show as a whole?
Yes.
I have two
I'll
hot
go-
takes for like the
I'll
overall
go
show.
third. I'll go third.
You'll
Go
go
third?
third. Okay, Peter, you want to go first?
I go first. Okay. Well, everyone knows this, but I don't like Avatar Roku as a character whatsoever.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think he is one of the worst avatars that we have seen. But to be fair,
Certainly had flaws.
like my judgment on avatars in general is kind of like my lens of how I view avatars in general is like the reason why I don't think he's that good of Avatar. So, and if you want to know my lens, I don't know if people want to know. It's like
Please.
okay,
I think there are 3 worse avatars than Roku in my
Go
personal.
basically
with the flow.
avatars, in my opinion, they're treated as like these godly beings, and I think the only thing that the avatar does is be the connection between the spirit world and the real world. And I think that's literally their only purpose. If you watch the origin of the Avatar in Legend of Korra, I think I can support my argument there. It's just I don't think avatars are all that important. Besides that, they have the power to have all 4 elements. So that's why I don't think they're that important. So seeing them as like these, I don't know, like godlike beings is my only problem with them, and that's why I don't view avatars as that special. I mean, we follow Aang, but I mean, like that's just my opinion on it. And my other hot take is that I honestly don't think the whole like I think Avatar: The Last Airbender as a show isn't. I don't think it's as good as like people make it out to be. But
Oh,
that's just me.
wow.
I'm not saying it's a bad show, but
Compared to
I can't really compare it to anything. But it's just like the way people like depict it nowadays, and how the show has has a resurgence on Netflix, and people have been talking about it, like all these articles, and people have been talking about how it's like the greatest show ever. And I even had like a roommate last year who loved this show to death, and maybe that's why I don't think that way anymore, or I
that's
don't
true. Maybe
appreciate
I
the
think
show as
that
much.
roommate has definitely had some negative.
But I will say I don't
effects
think
on you.
the show's an amazing show. Like the show is one of the best shows I've ever seen, but I wouldn't say it's like the best show ever, and people make it out to be. That's just my opinion. So
Okay,
that's why it's a
Okay.
hot take. That's why it's a hot take. It's like
I-
very
You know,
different.
Matt, do you have a direct response? I got a response.
I do.
Sure.
I
Okay,
do.
go ahead. Yeah.
All right.
I'll go after. I'll go after. And Robbie, it looks like you want to say something too. So
We'll see.
go ahead, man.
I want to say to that, Peter, is that I actually kind of agree with you, and I'm not. we're getting boiling rock levels of heat on this take, but so as a newcomer to the series, I enjoyed it a lot, and I've recommended it to my brothers. I've recommended it to like friends and family members. Like I think the show's great. The hype for this show is astronomical, and I think it's almost to the point where it's like a meme kind of, where it's like, oh, Avatar the Last Airbender, the only mature kids show ever. It's like,
Yeah, people say
like,
that when
calm
Steven
down.
Universe exists, right? You know.
Yeah, how dare they? It's like they've never seen Phineas and Ferb. No, but like but seriously, like there's this weird notion that like it's the greatest show of all time, and I think it's phenomenal. I think it teaches a lot of really good lessons, and but I do think that nostalgia exists, and it's played a big role in its um, movement towards the light a little bit. I still think it's a phenomenal show, and I like it a lot, a lot, a lot. But like, it's crazy how much people worship this show.
Yeah.
Like,
To follow up on that, I actually
Yeah,
think
go.
so. Everyone's gonna hate on me for saying this. I think Avatar is a lot better show than The Legend of Korra. That being said, I actually think The Legend of Korra is a lot more mature than Avatar: The Last Airbender. So, in like the themes and villains and everything that really happens in the show, character growth too, I just think it's a lot more mature in that respect.
I disagree.
Yeah, like I said, people are gonna
Legend of
disagree with me
Korra
on
is
this.
just edgy as fuck.
Yeah, see,
I'm gonna
everyone,
say this
people are
now.
gonna disagree about me on this. People are probably like, If we get a lot of viewers for this, people are gonna be like, "Dude, you're Peter. Just get off the freaking podcast. You're freaking trash."
think- Legend of Korra
Tick you off, yeah.
had some really, really good ideas. Like season 1 and season 2 had really, really good ideas, but they did not go through with them. Like
No, I'm saying
season
no.
2,
So I'm saying the show had like good ideas and stuff like that, and it tackles those issues a lot more than Avatar. I'm not saying like it does it better than Avatar. Like Avatar definitely does everything better than Korra in like most sense, honestly. So like, but I wouldn't say Avatar handles some of the issues that Korra does. You know.
I mean, Avatar's central theme was like the effects of war. I mean, I know Korra's like each season has like a different like topic. Like season 1's about like equality and has like a whole idea of like non-benders versus benders. The problem is that they tell you this, but you don't really see like a lot of that whole inequality really happen. But it's like it's a really interesting idea, which is what season 3 of Avatar kind of like briefly touches upon with like Sokka and his master. But it's something like they really like undercut, since like Toph always makes fun of Sokka not being a bender. Like he's kind of like the butt of the joke. And then season 2, they have like a whole like civil war kind of shit, and it was like a really good idea. But then they, spoilers, they kind of went with like some weird like laser fucking fight show and shit, and like good versus evil, like God and Satan. Like they introduced that pretty much idea, but I don't want to spoil too much Legend of Korra from that.
Scrap that part. Just
I'm just gonna say one thing about Korra real fast that y'all might be missing. Korra's like 18 in the show, and Aang's 12. So
that's something I didn't even think about.
if you're following along with the series and you watch Atla and then you move on to Legend of Korra, it's about like a 6 or 7 year difference, and about the time you're watching, like they're introducing it for the same audience that they introduced it for the first time. So the people watching it are also like in their mid-teens to later teens.
I'm sure that's probably
so
like
it
that
makes a
was,
lot
like,
more sense to have more mature
target
topics in there
demographic.
than
a lot of
war,
love triangles too.
yeah,
A huge focus on romance for some fucking reason.
yeah,
But hey, maybe that's what their plan was, honestly.
yeah. So it was developed for, I mean, not a significantly more, but a slightly more mature audience. I mean, they're not 8 years old watching at this point. Most of their viewers were in like high school at that, like
That's true.
for the same
That's a
audience.
really
So.
good point, Robbie. That's a really.
I mean,
that's an important.
for y'all
to
saying
be
it's way
fair,
more edgy.
Avatar. Well, I mean, it's like edgy, but like I say that in a bad way. But then again, like Avatar itself, it's like you like the first like second episode, you literally see like a skeleton, and then it's like the whole show's about war.
There's war crimes in Avatar.
Yeah, there's a fuck ton of war crimes. There's blood bending. That whole
Prisoners
idea.
of war.
that's true.
Yeah, prisoners of war,
I will say
PTSD.
that just like how Avatar: The Last Airbender catered towards like all audiences, Korra was the same. I'm sure they designed it for like kids, but then they're like, oh, you know, we already have like the Avatar people who like the series, so we'll put them into, you know. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's
I
my
will
thoughts
say
on
that
it.
they didn't do as good of a job.
I mean, they definitely didn't, but I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay, well, let's hear your hot take. I know you got one.
All right, my
so
hot take.
Got a hot take,
Well,
or like,
I just want to respond to something. I think Avatar is one of my favorite shows of all time, but of course, I don't think it's perfect. But I mean, I still view it as a great show. But I mean, for me, like I don't, when I'm like recommending a show to someone, I don't say, "Oh man, this is the coolest shit ever. It's gonna change your life." I'm just like, it's a good fucking show. You know, you can have a different opinion on it because you know some material rubs people like different ways. And I mean, I grew up watching it, and you know, because I already had like a relation to it. You know, I want to rewatch it again later in my life. But I mean, you know, maybe you're like 50 years old and you just don't want to watch a cartoon, so it's like whatever. But my hot take is, I think energy bending is a fucking asshole.
it is.
Because there is no fucking setup to it, pretty much. And then it pretty much solves all of Aang's problem when, I mean, the entire show you're thinking, is he going to kill the Fire Lord? Like, it's building up to that moment. Is he going to cross that line? But then at the last second, he pretty much discovers, you know, I can just take away his bending. Which, I mean, hey, we don't know what the fuck the Avatar state can do and what the Avatar's, like, limits are, but still, I thought it was kind of an asshole. That's my hot take.
I honestly, it's hard to disagree with that. It's definitely like one of those things where the writers they're like, wait, what do we do? But I don't
Yeah.
know how else they could have done that because there was no way Aang. Honestly, I see no timeline Aang kills the Fire Lord.
Break his
Honestly.
arms and legs.
Honestly, they wrote him into they wrote it the plot into
Into a
like kind of
corner.
like a corner, yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
they did. They definitely did.
Because they set up from like episode 1, Destiny, and how like the avatars, and season 3 is like whole parts like Destiny, you gotta do it. Like I was talking about earlier, like Zuko could have just killed the Fire Lord, but
No,
then it's
you're
like,
totally
nah, dude,
right.
nah, dude,
Like
it's Destiny.
imagine they're talking about like Aang, you have to kill the Fire Lord, and then he just kills the Fire Lord. Like it's like, oh my god, he actually did it. Like what?
No, it's like I don't think I would have been super surprised because it's like, well, what else was he gonna do? Like nobody in the entire fucking universe knew about energy bending. Like taking away something's bending. That's
There was
literally
like, I think there was like mention that previous avatars knew it from the Lion Turtle. I don't remember.
they did. I don't think they did.
Mm-mm.
No, because like if that were true,
Maybe it was
like,
in Korra. I don't remember, but like,
yeah, that was probably in Core something. But like Roku didn't know shit about that, or he would have fucking used that on something
yeah.
like
If only
ASAP.
Roku though knew
Kyoshi
about.
didn't know about it. You think Krook fucking knew that shit? Hell no.
If
Fucking
only Roku
Yang
knew energy
Chen.
bending, If only
Yang
he
Chen
knew
was the
energy bending.
fucking air bending avatar, and she was like, "It doesn't matter what you think, what your philosophies are. The avatar gets shit done, bitch. It doesn't matter what your morals are." So
Kill him. Yeah.
I felt like, I don't know. I mean, would Nickelodeon show him like killing someone on screen? I mean, they showed Jet dying, so maybe I don't know.
They show it on screen though. This is like the final confrontation. They're not gonna like move it away if he kills him.
Just show Aang, bah, like shoot him with fire. It's like
It's close to doing that because like once he activated that avatar state, he saw
Oh.
Ozai, he saw the terror in his eyes. He's like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna die."
Yeah, he's just blasting the fire away at the rock shell, and just Aang's hand shoots up, grabs the beard, and just like pulls him down, and you're like, "Oh, it's happening!"
Actually,
Like energy bending, like that weird ass like visual where it showed
Yeah,
like that orange, like the glow shit, and then like
out of the light in
Aang's
the mouth.
blue out. Rewatching, I was like, I don't fucking have any idea.
It
what's
was
going
a super
on.
hype thing though, where like it was like perfectly balanced, like throughout the entire like the screen was like split in half with like the red and the
Yeah,
blue. It
but
was a
then
really
like
cool visual, but like the
you
whole
wish,
purpose of energy bending is it's really just like the writers being like, he had to learn something different. Here you
I gotta
go.
make a 12-year-old kid look,
And
dude.
you're like,
Screen.
okay.
what are your guys' thoughts on like Aang getting his avatar state back from just getting a rock like hitting his back?
oh, that was. I
Yeah,
thought that made sense, and I mean, I'm glad they did something with that sort of, but also like I thought it was also because like he was like digging Katara, right? Like that's why he couldn't really use the Avatar state super well, and he
yeah.
still got her.
That
You
part
know?
is confusing as well because he's like the guru is like you have to let go.
You have to let go of Katara. I won't. Okay, you can still have the Avatar state. Why not?
It's just like okay, just for a split second, just open up that chakra path.
Well, it's
Like,
not that he can't access the avatar state. It's that he doesn't have full control over himself in the avatar state. That's the
right.
difference. And
Do you
that's the last chakra, is that he would be
Yeah,
fully himself.
it'd be a
And
fully realized avatar.
right? But
Yeah.
he did have control of himself in the
yeah,
last.
he did kind of have like
right?
full control.
Well, I mean,
of that.
he broke the gate in the finale of season 2,
Yeah, yeah.
but he just thought
That's-
he
that's
could
for
never
sure.
go back into avatar state because he died.
Until
Yeah.
he got like hit in that
And then he got
right
back,
exact
and then
point.
that
Yeah.
somehow connected him back to all the previous. I don't know, but
Yeah, I don't know. I thought
maybe those two things are kind of
Real blast
assholes.
from the past.
that's why I thought Zuko versus Zula was my favorite fight of the
Yeah.
finale. And that's
I think the
like,
finale had some pretty. It was like a pretty epic conclusion to everything, but I think in terms of like captivating fight, like the whole Azula versus Zuko and Kintaro was a lot more, or Azula versus Zuko and Kintaro. It was a lot more engaging than Aang and the
Yeah.
Fire Lord's fight.
it was more meaningful
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it
Definitely.
didn't have like ass pulls, like energy bending. A rock hitting Aang at just the right spot for him to
Yeah.
reactivate his avatar
Oh, that's the
state.
spot. Oh shit.
Azula like fires into Zuko's hands. It's like, I'm super fire.
It's just like, bitch, I can combine fire and lightning. We didn't see anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that would have been.
Like Zuko getting hit in the chest when he like took Azula's like lightning. That's not like if they were gonna do like a similar ass pull. It's like he gets hit right in the middle, or maybe his scar, and then all of a sudden he can like project lightning like infinitely or some shit. That's what it would have been.
he gets charged up with so much lightning that he becomes a full lightning bender and can just like shoot it at will.
He goes to Iroh, fucking dragon.
He spits out
Wow.
electric out instead.
Fucking
Unlimited
Pikachu.
Just static shock, like we mentioned earlier. You know.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's nice that I love it.
That's a fair point, Peter. There
Yeah.
there were a few like plot contrived, like just iffy parts, but
My
Just
question is,
convenient,
why
you know?
did they introduce like bloodbending if they weren't gonna do anything with it afterwards?
I mean,
That's another thing.
I think they had to have like a really spooky Halloween special.
I thought it was
I guess.
good.
I remember watching that on TV. That scared the hell out of me. So I guess it worked.
Yeah, it was creepy. I thought it was cool that they kind of touched into that because you know that there are people. Oh, why doesn't like Aang just pull air out of like some guy's lungs if he wants to kill him? You know,
Obviously, just
like,
take out all the oxygen and
yeah, exactly. Like, why doesn't he just water bend like squeeze a guy dry or something? I think it goes into the whole dark side of bending, and it's like you could do horrible things with these powers. You know?
Yeah, yeah. So me and Matt actually had a conversation about this. I said bending's a lot like the Force, where they're like you could do more stuff with it that the good side
yeah.
kind of doesn't do.
Yeah.
But you don't really see it because at least in Star Wars you have dark side. So they show Force choke, which Jedi's can do, but they just choose not to.
They go a little
Like-
bit more into the darker side of bending in the Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it is edgy.
yeah,
It is edgier. So
but
Interesting.
I agree. There's definitely a lot more you can do with bending than what's shown. But also, it's a cartoon, not designed to show humans being wringed out of the 70% of their body that's water and just.
I don't know. They showed
being
it in
dry
the
husk.
bloodbending episode, so I mean,
But I mean,
Not
I think the
bad.
bloodbending episode was more to like give a better depth to Katara and show that not every bender's good because she like a lot of times she saw like the good in people. And she's like, another southern waterbender. I thought they were all gone, and this one was totally corrupted by the Fire Nation. Just because like she was held prisoner for so long that she had to like she would do
So-
anything to survive, and that just shows another
Friends
like
died too. I think that was like one of the best episodes as well because you saw like how real it
Yeah.
was for someone who like suffered from like very early on in the war, who's like still there. Is that she was like in prison for so long and saw
Mhm.
like she fought to like her last breath to kind of like protect her people, but then even then she was like captured, and then like out of desperation she invents like probably the most fucking OP bending besides the Avatar state like right then and there because it's like you can literally like break someone's fucking neck with like blood bending.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like force choking. It's pretty much like the Force.
Yeah.
essentially.
yeah. So, let's see. Does anyone else have like hot takes that they want to mention? Any other thoughts?
I thought those were all spicy.
Uh,
Honestly,
Those takes were a little too hot for me. I think my tolerance is burned up.
I think Zutara is delusional. I don't get why
Think
people
delusional? Oh
can't-
yeah, that's something
Yeah.
else. Another hot take. I actually think Zuko and Katara should end up with each other.
No, they
No.
had like one really vague scene
No.
together,
They-
and that's it.
They
The
have
entire
one
time-
moment in book 2
Yeah.
where she's like, "I could heal you," and he's like, "Okay," and then they start
Okay.
considering it, and then it's gone, and that's it.
Okay,
It's-
this is
it's
why
like,
ships
Literally,
exist.
It's like 5
episode
minutes.
1, Aang and Katara already have a thing for each other. You know what I mean? Like the whole series is like
It's
them
fair.
building up.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not saying Aang and Katara is a bad couple. I'm just saying
I'm saying they're the ideal couple for those two.
Zuko and Katara would have been a fine couple too. So
I don't think so. I think that would have gypped Aang. He would have been the simp. He would have been the simp of the series.
Aang would have been like
Water
alone his
queen.
whole life. It's okay
He would
though.
have just like fucking learn bloodbending right there and just like bloodbend Zuko out of there. You know what I mean?
Not
It's just
wrong.
like
Who do y'all think is the best girl in the series?
Best girl.
Suki.
Yeah, it's got to be Suki, right?
Suki, faux show. Come on.
Suki, no doubt. I think Peter likes May, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
actually, I like May a lot. Yeah. Why not? I'll say May. Just to be
What about you, Rob?
To break the trend, normally I'd say Suki, but Ty Lee
Grand
kind of goes
Grand.
off with her with her chi blocking.
Hama.
I think like finding a new way to fight, like it goes to show that like you don't have to be a bender to fight, and like May shows that with all of like the knives and like the like daggers and stuff that she's throwing, and Ty Lee uses
Alright.
basically advanced gymnastics.
Sure,
Chi
sure,
block.
yeah.
You know what
It's
you
her
like.
fighting
Yeah,
style.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
definitely not,
Yeah.
definitely not the beach episode or anything.
No, no, no.
That's
Yeah,
European.
100%. Not the beach episode where
Yeah,
they
we
showed
got you, Rob.
certain scenes, you know.
I told you I'd pick Suki. I'm just trying to give y'all more to talk about.
I
Okay.
Yeah, I
appreciate
picked Suki
that.
too, but I'll say May.
Yeah.
Azula. No, I'm just kidding.
Nah,
Azula,
I
no
pick
way.
either
Oh, you saw the beach
Katara,
episode, I see.
Katara or Suki. To be honest.
Yeah.
Katara Suki. I respect that. I think I'd go the same.
I'd say Suki and that one chick that I forget her name, but like the one with the mole, like the smelling mole.
Oh,
Oh,
oh, that chick? No, no.
Hey, come on.
maybe the girl that likes
bounty
Zuko. You know. Maybe
Yeah,
her
she was-
Oh,
too.
Jin? Oh, yeah.
Jin.
Okay, yeah,
Jin.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think her name.
Yeah, Jin for sure.
Yeah, she was nice. But yeah, that was the most important question we were going to get the whole podcast.
Actually,
but-
Yeah,
do I have
apparently.
another hot take?
Say it now or forever be
I'm
unheard.
trying to think. See.
While you do that, we could go over our favorite episodes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I already told mine. Oh.
Yeah, I've already kind of said mine. I just know we haven't really gotten Williams specifically, but mine is definitely Boiling Rock. I really enjoyed I just like heist a lot, but yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
Did you
sense.
get something, William?
Yep, Combustion Man was kind of dumb. He had no character to him. He was just like this like silent assassin. I mean, you kind of see like his metal limbs, and you kind of assume that maybe he was like, I don't know, like a soldier or something. But he literally had no voice lines. He never talked. He just breathed in and he breathed out.
I like how he got
Yeah.
one shot by Sokka though. You know.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really good. The
Yeah.
fact that like he like aimed his boomerang and stuff and like looked at like I thought that was cool. But he's just a plot device.
Also,
So-
what is that power?
No
Never
one
explained.
knows. Yeah, no one knows.
Okay.
He can just fire bend with his mind.
Yeah, I
there you
no
go.
one
I
knows.
thought
No
he
one
was
knows.
kind of stupid. I thought he was going to turn into something or like be like,
Turn to a
I take some of the Avatar like past out in and tape it to my forehead. It gives me
turn into
powers.
a giant fighting chicken because his name's Combustion. You know.
Oh jeez.
Sparky, boom boom.
Another Pokemon.
Yeah, another Pokemon. I'm sorry.
I like that. But yeah. Combustion Man's pretty bad.
You're bad.
I mean, he's got a badass design. I will say that.
He's got a kind of cool
The
design.
metal limbs, the metal boot that like they kept hearing.
He
that
looks
was
out
cool.
of like Tekken or Mortal Kombat or something.
He does look like Kano from Mortal Kombat. Actually.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, actually, kind of does.
Right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, any other? Oh yeah, Robbie, what was your favorite episode?
I think my favorite episode is the invasion one, the Eclipse episodes.
Yeah.
I think you just got to see a good, like an all around good use of like strategy and combat between like different types of bending. You get to see like Sokka step up as a leader. You get to see like all of the past characters coming back from like seasons 1 and 2.
The boulder was
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, the boulder.
My favorite character
Alone.
of the entire
Uh,
series.
What was your
Um,
favorite episode?
and then you also get to see like
Oh.
the Fire
Yeah,
Nation subvert everything because they found out about the plan in advance because
I'm
the Earth
surprised
King
they didn't
is
like
so
know. Yeah, no, it's like wouldn't the Earth King mention that? Oh shit! Yeah, the people that just invaded Bossing City. I told the plan to them. I was surprised they didn't realize by then that the invasion was.
yeah,
already
you know
made.
what? Yeah, the Urki was there. He could have just told them.
He was just fucking around with his bear, man. He just didn't give a shit.
Him and Bosco, they were so
yeah.
worthless.
he was so absent-minded. He told Kyoshi warriors.
Yeah, he.
that they're gonna like the Fire Nation's gonna fall on the eclipse that's coming up. And Azula's like, oh, an eclipse, great. Let me go tell my father and subvert
I
everything.
think that's a
and all
plot
of the
hole.
effort.
Actually, I think he could have.
No.
That's a good point,
He
actually.
could have just communicated there.
He
But,
was
oh,
just
by the way, yeah, those
incompetent.
fire chicks. I accidentally told everything.
Yeah,
By me and
you know how
Oscar are gonna go.
the
He
Kyoshi
probably didn't even realize he
Warriors.
did it.
Yeah, he's the biggest idiot in all of the Avatar land,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
Voiced by Static Shock himself too. I recognize his voice actor.
What the heck?
Voice actor for also Green Lantern and Justice League. I don't know if you guys know.
Oh wait, what?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
what's
didn't
his
know that.
name? Phil Lamar
Jon Stewart.
or
Yeah, Phil Lamar. Phil Lamar.
Phil Lamar? Hermes, Samurai Jack.
Okay, let's
Samurai
get y'all's favorite
Jack.
episode. What you guys like?
My favorite episode, since no one said it yet, Peter already said Southern Raiders, which was like my favorite. One of my favorites, but another one is, of course, Ember Island Players.
Yes.
Because
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
they have Robin as Sokka in the play, and I just love how like every character that was portrayed is like an exaggerated like version of like our main cast. I thought was just perfect.
Especially Top. I like Top's.
Top
Yeah,
is
Tops.
really good.
That was great.
I use echolocation and see with my voice. See, I got a very good look at you. And you're just like, what is happening?
No,
Yeah, imagine if that was
is
like Top's gimmick. She just starts screaming in the middle of battle. Just like,
Yeah.
Black Canary. Ah!
yeah,
Ah!
That episode's great. Like if you watch the entire series, it's like it's perfect because it's like kind of like a recap episode, but it's also like fitting because it's like it's supposed to be like Fire Nation like propaganda. It's like this is what they view like the Avatar cast as is like just kind of like this obstacle, like making fun of them. So I mean, I just love it because it's also really like self-aware too. Like the creators like they kind of make fun of themselves as well. Like the Great Divide, there's like one point in the play
Yeah.
where it's like, yeah, it's the Great Divide, and like people don't look at that episode with like such high, like a high view, and then just kind of like, I've seen better. It's like what they say in like the actual episode. And I thought that was great.
Yeah.
It was,
Also make fun of the Zutara pairing as well, where
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just like, yeah, I thought that was great. And then like the kid who like or he doesn't make fun of like Zuko, but he's like says like his scar is like on the wrong side.
Yeah, that was funny.
I thought that was great.
It it was honestly that episode was so perfectly placed because it was right before the Sozin comment. So
Oh,
it
yeah.
was like it was giving you that recap and also like it's sending you down memory lane a little bit. You're like, okay, I'm feeling it. It gets you really hyped for like the finale for the show because it's like I remember all this stuff. It was way deeper then, but you know this is funny. But
Yeah.
I thought that episode was super good too. And when I watched it, I remember talking to you guys about it, Peter and William, and being like, "So, what does the community think about this?" Because
Yeah,
it's kind of a jokey episode, and
it's very meta.
I could see like people not liking it because it's like we're about to like face the big bad guy. You're gonna do some stupid joke like that, but apparently people really like it, and I'm glad because I was like I really enjoyed that episode. So
Yeah.
Like, I think as like a normal recap episode, it would still be great. But I think what makes it like very like top tier in terms of like my favorite episodes that you see like the cast's like reaction to
yeah,
it. You know,
yeah,
like they're like actually like reacting to like what the Fire Nation thinks of how they were in their journey and stuff, and like Sokka for the most part, I think he like loves it, right? And like
Oh,
even like
absolutely.
this,
oh
even
yeah,
like the scene where like they're doing like a horrible like butcher of like him and Yue at like the northern like water
Yep.
tribe. He's like crying. He's like he can't even speak because he's just like it's such a good scene. He even like improves like this like Sokka's actor on stage, like gives him like a bunch of
yeah. It
cards
gives
of like
them
jokes
tips.
he could say. It was great. I love it.
Mhm.
that being said, let's move on to our ratings.
I'm ready.
Who wants to go first? Anyone want to go first?
I'll go first.
All
I'll get mine out. I don't think mine's very hot because I've kind of said everything I want to say about the show. It's really good. I'm going to recommend it once again and say you should watch it. Even though I kind of gave it a little crap this episode, still a really good show. With that said, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 for this season. And for the show overall, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Both really, really good scores. That's going to get you a fine GPA. So
Will it?
it's not bad.
I don't know. My school would not like that GPA.
That's
Actually,
a 3.0. That's higher than a 3.0.
yeah,
at
my
the
school
very
that's like
least.
a 2.7.
Oh, jeez. Well, I'll take it. But with that said, I hand the mic over to who would
I'll
like
go
it.
next.
All right, cool.
So my two ratings, age like and the rate like the number rating. So age like, so I'll say age like dragons, because dragons are still alive, and
Ooh, I
actually
like
I don't
that.
really know where I'm going with this.
I
Basically,
like
dragons are
that one.
cool. The show's good. It aged well for the most part. My rating, as for my number rating, I'll give this season an 8 out of 10. If I were to average up the rating for the whole Avatar as a whole, I think it'd be probably 8.5. I don't know if I did the average right. Probably not. Who knows? But give it 8.5, just like Matt. I brought up the notion. I don't think the show is perfect. I mean, I think the show's great. Everyone should watch it. I just think the show's overhyped in some regards. So, but other than that, the show's like a really great show. 8.5. Everyone should watch it. A lot of deep meanings, great characters, great music, great setting. Great world building. So, definitely recommend it.
Who's next,
Who's
boys?
next?
I'll go next so I can leave Will's hot take at the end. To sort of subvert expectations, I'm going to say this show aged like Iroh's advice, where it's still good after all these years. Boom!
Yeah, I should have thought of that.
That is
That's
solid.
right.
That's a
you.
very solid one.
Oh
Thank
my
you,
goodness.
thank you. I watched it when it first came out. I watched it when it was put on Netflix a couple years ago, and I watched it again when it was put on Netflix most recently. I loved it every single time. I didn't give ratings previously, but I would give this show a 9.5 out of 10 overall and for the season. So,
Very respectable. Thank you, Robbie.
of course.
What you've all been waiting for.
This is the one.
Yeah, you guys.
The demonstration of the Dragon
I
of
know
the
you guys
West.
been waiting for my rating. Give me 1 second.
The man, the myth, the dragon.
This has to be so underwhelming for our audience.
Yeah, for audio only
Blowing
listeners,
out-
you guys don't understand. We're uploading like a video.
Yeah,
Cam one on
we're
YouTube.
Yeah,
uploading video.
this
to
is
YouTube.
our first video, but
Look at like the last 5 minutes on YouTube and you can watch him just make a fool.
He's
for my
blowing vape.
rating for the season and how I actually rate the entire show as a whole is that I would give it a 9.719208 out of 10. And the reason for that is that the 7192008 is July 19th, 2008, when the last episode aired. And there's not really any significance. I love the show. I don't think it's perfect because of what I've mentioned before. But this show is timeless. I think it's aged really, really well. Especially Iroh's advice and just like every line he has is just like fire. So I think it's a great show to watch. You should definitely watch it. Don't think it's perfect. Like you shouldn't come in and expect like this show's like the best show you've ever watched, but it's worth your time. I think it's
You
worth your
could come
time.
in and think this is the best show you watched. I mean,
Yeah, hey,
good. It's that good of a show.
you don't have to expect that.
No,
Yeah, but
just
you-
come
you-
in, watch a good show with good characters, good storylines. You'll walk away happy.
I do think it's probably the best like children's cartoon in terms of like how like relevant it can be to your life and just the fact that it's like it aired in a time where these kinds of cartoons like this kind of genre was not even really a
Steven
thing.
Universe.
I mean, we'll
exactly.
discuss that on the Steven Universe episode.
Yeah.
That favorite show, Steven Universe, has something else to say.
That's my rating. And if anyone else has anything else to say or not, we could move on to next week's episode, aka the start of season 2 of Age Like Mine podcast.
Yeah. So I want to finish off this episode a little bit by saying we clearly all enjoyed the show. and it's definitely aged like wine. That's all I can say.
It's like a fine cheese,
Fine cheese, because that's what our show is called. But seriously, finishing off this episode, finishing off the season, we'd like to thank everybody who's been listening. This has been a very interesting journey for us to try this out. This is a really good creative outlet for all of us, getting a chance to watch these shows, discuss it, discussing it with friends, having friends on as like guest hosts. Robbie, thank you so much for coming again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. It's been a great time, and hopefully we'll be able to continue improving our discussions, improving as Peter's laughing for some reason.
Sorry. Your
Yeah,
mic
you
is
know what?
like your mic's going off right now.
Oh, is
yeah.
my mic cutting off? Oh, jeez.
It's
It's
not
not cutting
off,
out.
it's like-
Your thing is like
feels like
rubbing
something's
against
like-
like your hoodie.
Oh, I'll move it. But
Yeah, continue.
great, that's gonna sound fantastic. But again, thank you so much. Hopefully, we'll be able to continue to improve for season 2. We have some changes in mind. Like we talked about a little bit, we've got a YouTube channel now, which is William.
It's like Wine Podcast on YouTube.
We do have a link to it on our Twitter, which is ALW_podcast, where you can always send us messages. We've been tweeting out when our episodes go live, and we're happy to hear back any feedback on our host abilities, on guests, on what shows we should be doing, what movies, what games, whatever. We are open to any and all suggestions, and we really appreciate all the listening, all the all the appreciation. It's been a good time. It's been a good time, and hopefully season 2 will continue to push the envelope, and we'll talk more about what season 2 is going to be about when we get to that episode next week.
What are we
What
gonna
are we
have?
watching for next week though?
Oh,
What's-
I can say what we're.
What's the premiere for season 2? What's the title?
So,
Sorry, I did my best impression of it.
cat,
Sorry.
but
Yeah, the cat's
so-
featuring Station
so
Derulo.
next week we will be discussing one of the greatest movies of the 90s. Da-na-na, da-na-na, Jurassic Park.
Oh, we're getting copyrighted.
It's way too late for that. We're going to be discussing Jurassic Park, one of my favorite movies of all time. These guys haven't seen it. Very excited to talk about it, and it should be a good time, definitely. And with that, am I missing anything?
No.
I'd like to thank
Oh, maybe
Robbie
you.
for his guest appearance on today's episode. It is his first and last appearance on our show.
Of this season, it's his first.
Of the show. Period.
Ever. I'm never coming back.
No, Robbie did a great job. Appreciate you being on.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
And with that, we will bid you farewell. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Goodbye.
Thanks. Peace out.
Have a great day and stay safe.
Okay.
All right. I have stopped recording.